You won't believe me, but this guy, you might know him as the front man, brought knives to a gunfight. Want to know how that happened? Alright, I'll tell you. The story begins in 1879 in a small town called Rose Creek, which is under the brutal control of a robber baron and gold mining tycoon named Bartholomew Bogue. With an army of hired guns at his command, Bogue seeks to take full control of Rose Creek due to its rich gold mines. Beyond bribing Sheriff Harpe and forcing the townspeople to work for pitiful wages, Bogue and his men routinely abuse their power, leaving the residents to suffer in misery and poverty. Fed up with their suffering, the townspeople gather in a church to discuss their options. Should they surrender their land to Bogue, or should they fight back with everything they have? The only person in town who supports Bogue is a brothel owner, the only successful businessman in Rose Creek.
He'll give you a fair share.
Oh, yeah, right. Share, Gavin. You're the only one making money here. No, you and your whores.
Now, Fenton, that ain't fair. You know that. You were there the other night.
As the townspeople vote, Emma and her husband Matthew firmly choose to keep their land, making it clear that they will never hand it over to Bogue, no matter what. But before the discussion can continue, Bogue himself arrives at the church with his armed men, instantly silencing the room.
This is the Lord's house. There's no place for guns. There are women and children.
With an air of arrogance, he delivers an eloquent speech, claiming that their land is nothing more than worthless dust. Then, in a mock display of generosity, he offers them $20 per parcel of land. When the townspeople object, Bogue orders his men to burn the church to the ground. He gives them 3 weeks to accept his offer, warning that anyone who refuses will be killed. As Bogue prepares to leave, Matthew politely but firmly asks him why he's acting like such a tyrant. His wife signals him to stop, but he refuses, pushing his luck until Bogue ruthlessly shoots him dead in front of everyone. Chaos erupts as Bogue's men begin slaughtering the townspeople at random. Among Bogue's hired guns is a Comanche warrior, who coldly kills a terrified woman with a precise tomahawk throw. Several other men who try to defend themselves are also gunned down. Before departing, Bogue orders his pocket sheriff to leave the bodies where they fell, forcing the townspeople to look at them for days as a warning. A few days later, a man named Sam Chisholm, a well-known U.S. Marshal, arrives in Amador, the closest town to Rose Creek. He walks into a saloon where a smooth-talking card sharp, Josh Faraday, is playing poker with the locals. Sam approaches the bartender and begins interrogating him about a criminal named Powder Dan. As he recounts the details, tension in the room thickens. A few men shift uncomfortably, their hands inching toward their guns. It's clear to everyone that the bartender is Powder Dan. Sensing the impending fight, Chisholm remains calm and skillfully neutralizes every threat before they can act. He moves in to arrest Dan, but before he can cuff him, one of the poker players reaches for his revolver. Faraday, for reasons unknown, stops him. Realizing he's out of options, Powder Dan suddenly draws his gun, but Chisholm is quicker and guns him down first. He then orders the others to fetch the sheriff. The saloon empties in an instant, leaving only Faraday behind. Faraday tries to strike up a conversation, but Chisholm ignores him and steps outside, hands raised. The sheriff holds him at gunpoint, but Chisholm calmly explains who he is.
I'm a duly sworn warrant officer of the Circuit Court in Wichita, Kansas. I'm also a licensed peace officer in the Indian Territories, all Kansas, Nebraska, and 7 other states.
And presents a wanted poster with Powder Dan's face, proving his authority. Nearby, Emma and her friend Teddy observe the exchange. They realize this is the man they need. Meanwhile, Faraday sweeps up the remaining money from the poker table, grabs a bottle of firewater, and slips out the saloon's back door, only to be confronted by 2 men. They accuse him of cheating in a poker game a few days ago and intend to kill him for it. Without giving him a chance to escape, they drag him toward a nearby mine. At the same time, Emma and Teddy approach Chisholm, pleading for his help against the tyrant. They describe the brutal situation in Rose Creek.
A rich man's overtaken the town. He's killed half a dozen men. He's got the sheriff on his payroll and Blackstone agents in his employ.
You don't need a bounty hunter, you need an army.
And we intend to hire one, sir.
Desperate, Emma offers him everything the town has managed to scrape together.
Been offered a lot for my work, but never everything.
That man murdered my husband.
At first, he refuses, but then she mentions Bogue's name. Chisholm's demeanor shifts. He takes a moment to consider, then agrees. And holy smoke, I just realized that's not Jennifer Lawrence. What the hell? Meanwhile, the 2 men attempt to force Faraday into the mine, but he resists.
If you're gonna kill me, kill me. If you're gonna rob me, but I will not go in that mine. There's rats in there.
Instead, he asks if he can show them a magic trick before they kill him.
We ain't playing no game.
You've got the drop on me. You'll get a hoot out of this.
Come on, Earl, just pick one real quick. You know how I like magic.
Faraday pulls a deck of cards from his pocket and begins his performance. But in the middle of the trick, he suddenly draws his gun, killing one of them and disabling the other. So unexpected. Faraday shoots off part of the man's ear and warns him never to cross his path again.
I didn't want to kill him. He shouldn't have touched my guns.
Afterward, Faraday heads to a man who had won his horse in a dice game. He demands it back, but the man isn't interested in negotiating.
I would like to buy my horse back, though I am light of funds at the moment.
As they prepare to draw on each other, Sam suddenly appears and offers to buy the horse for Faraday. Sam then makes Faraday another offer, a job. He invites him to join an impending battle against a powerful man with his own army.
Is it difficult?
Impossible.
How many you got so far?
2.
What, them?
You and me?
Without hesitation, Faraday agrees. Because, well, why not? As they ride, Faraday finally asks for some clarification about their target.
Whose execution do we seek?
Bartholomew Bogue?
Bart Bogue, the robber baron?
And honestly, that should have been the first question he asked before signing up for this suicide mission.
You want out? Feel free to leave. Just leave my horse, since I paid for it.
Just speaking out loud.
Sam instructs Faraday and Teddy to travel to a small village and find a man named Goodnight Robicheaux, a former Confederate sharpshooter feared by his enemies. They are to meet back outside Junction City in 3 days. Meanwhile, Sam and Emma set off to recruit another of Sam's old allies. Faraday and Teddy arrive in the village and notice a crowd gathering. As they move closer, they see 2 men dueling by shooting cups. A judge declares the winner, a skilled Asian gunslinger named Billy Rocks. The losing man, unwilling to accept defeat, demands a rematch, this time a real duel. He doubles the bet, and Billy agrees.
Double or not?
Your funeral arcade.
Billy drops his gun, preparing for the signal. The moment the starting shot fires, Billy eliminates his opponent with nothing but his hair stick. Goodnight Robicheaux, watching from the sidelines, collects the bets from the spectators. One man refuses, calling them cheaters.
Ain't a habit paying off cheaters. Be keeping my money.
Easy, Goodnight. He's drunk.
Mr. Robicheaux, I'd known it was you, that was your man, I never would have made such a disrespectful comment.
It's all right, son. You just pay me double.
Faraday tells Goodnight Robicheaux
Sam Chisholm sent us.
they indulge in drinks together, and Goodnight opens up about his past. He explains that he was originally sent to serve a warrant on Billy for the Northern Pacific Railroad.
Warrant for what? Killing a man with a hairpin?
That is funny.
But after witnessing Billy take on an entire room of men with nothing but his fists and winning, Goodnight decided to befriend him instead. Now, they make their living off Billy's incredible skills, winning money through bets. Goodnight makes it clear, if they want him on their team, they have to accept Billy as well. Meanwhile, Sam and Emma arrive at the home of one of Sam's old friends, only to find his dead body inside. As they search the house, they are suddenly caught off guard by a Mexican man who holds Sam at gunpoint. He quickly explains that he isn't the one who killed their friend. Sam, now recognizing the man, calls him by name.
You Vasquez?
He pulls out a warrant for Vasquez's arrest, but makes him an offer.
Got a business proposition for you.
After our business is concluded, what then?
There'll still be a lot of men after you hide.
And that should give me comfort.
Should. I won't be one of them.
And for whatever reason, instead of just shooting Sam and leaving, Vasquez agrees to the deal. The next day, the 2 groups gather at the appointed meeting place. Faraday, still drunk,
Oh, good, we got a Mexican.
immediately starts mocking Vasquez. As they ride together, the group members begin getting to know each other. Goodnight points out the surprising racial diversity of their team, which for the time period is almost unheard of.
I'm Mexican, cabron. No such thing as a Texican.
So I tell him that to my granddaddy. He died at the Alamo. New Orleans Grays, long barracks, bayonets, mauled by a horde of teeming brown devils.
My grandfather was one of those devils, you know. Maybe my grandfather killed your grandfather, huh?
What a charming thought. Since we are bonding.
They eventually arrive at the home of Jack Horne, another of Sam and Goodnight's old acquaintances. But instead of Jack, they find 2 goons waiting for them. The goons claim they've killed Jack Horne and proudly display his rifle as a trophy to prove it.
You have no body?
Well, you see Lynn here? Smashed a boulder over his head. Fell off a cliff.
Snuck up on him, huh?
Just as one of them finishes boasting, a tomahawk flies through the air and strikes him dead. Jack Horne himself steps onto the scene, his head covered in blood. Without hesitation, he brutally beats the second goon to death.
These 2 ungodly creatures broke a rock on my head, robbed me of my possession. I trailed them for 2 days. Now I got a right by the Lord and by the law. Take back what belongs to me. Are we in agreement?
The group offers him a place in their team, but instead of responding, Jack calmly turns and walks away, leaving his answer hanging in the air.
I believe that bear was wearing people's clothes.
The team moves toward Rose Creek but stops for the night along the way. As darkness falls, Faraday tries to barter with Teddy, offering him shooting lessons in exchange for a drink. Meanwhile, Goodnight quietly asks Sam whether he has told the team the real reason he accepted this job. At dawn, the crew is suddenly awakened by the smell of blood.
Blood.
It turns out that Horne has been tracking them all night. but they aren't his target. He's been following a Comanche hunter who now emerges from the wilderness with his freshly caught prey. Using his limited knowledge of the Comanche language, Sam strikes up a conversation. The hunter introduces himself as Red Harvest and explains that his tribe abandoned him. Recognizing his potential, Sam offers Red Harvest a place in the group. In response, Red Harvest shares the deer's liver with Sam, sealing their pact. The team presses forward, navigating through diverse landscapes until they finally reach the gates of Rose Creek. Upon arrival, Sam and Billy enter the town alone, walking straight into the heart of Bogue's occupied territory. Waiting for them in the town center are Bogue's men, including the imposing Sheriff Harpe and Bogue's right-hand man, Lieutenant McCann. Sheriff Harpe immediately declares that firearms are banned in Rose Creek and demands that Sam surrender his guns, promising to return them when he leaves. Sam remains calm and tells them he's ready to give up his gun, but his friends probably won't be. Right on cue, the rest of the team steps onto the scene. Bogue's men mock them.
Quite a batch of strays.
I'll say a prayer for you. You know, a little prayer.
But Sam ignores their taunts and tells McCann to inform Bogue.
If he wants his town, come see me.
McCann, unwilling to back down, gives a silent order to a sniper positioned on the roof. But before the sniper can fire, he suddenly collapses off the building. Red Harvest appears behind him, bow in hand, and swiftly takes out another of Bogue's men. For a long, tense moment, Bogue's remaining men do nothing but stare at Sam and his team. Then, after what feels like forever, the shooting finally begins. Sam's crew moves with precision and unyielding speed, unleashing a storm of bullets, knife slashes, and arrows that tear through the silence. One by one, their enemies fall, some before they even have a chance to react. In the chaos, Bogue's men scramble to flee or find cover, but none of them escape. Anyone who runs is gunned down. The Magnificent Seven dominates the fight, killing nearly all of Bogue's men. Billy expertly handles his knives, while Goodnight, frozen in shock, fails to fire a single shot. His PTSD has paralyzed him. As the prolonged firefight comes to an end, only McCann and Sheriff Harpe remain alive. McCann turns and flees, but Goodnight takes aim and holds him at gunpoint, only to freeze once again.
Take the damn shot!
Faraday urges him to shoot, but Goodnight lowers his rifle instead. To cover for his friend, Billy steps in and tells Faraday the rifle is jammed.
It's jammed.
As the echoes of battle fade, the crew shares their kill count, with Faraday boasting the highest at 7. Meanwhile, Sam tracks down the terrified sheriff, who is hiding under a house. Sam orders him to come out and fires him on the spot, stripping him of his authority. He then instructs the former sheriff to deliver a message to Bogue in Sacramento.
And you tell him if he don't show up himself, he ain't nothing but a yellow-bellied, sap-sucking coward.
With the battle over, Emma gathers the townspeople to introduce them to the Magnificent Seven. The brothel owner, the town's only successful businessman, steps forward, clearly unimpressed.
Who picked you to deal on our behalf?
Seems I was the only one with balls enough to do so.
Sam warns the townspeople that the real fight is yet to come, and that they must prepare. Emma tells those who are afraid to leave while they still can, while the rest must help fortify the town for Bogue's retaliation. Considering the distance between Rose Creek and Sacramento, they have about a week before Bogue returns. The next morning, some of the townspeople wrap up their successful business and leave town. However, a commendable number choose to stay, determined to defend their home. Training sessions begin.
Knives. There's nothing to it.
Billy demonstrates the art of knife fighting, showing off his deadly accuracy.
That's simple.
But after witnessing his skills, no one wants to learn. It looks way too difficult.
Hey, get back here! Get back!
Faraday and Goodnight take charge of gun training, but the initial results are frankly disastrous. Stumbles and missed shots are the norm. Not a single bullet hits the target.
Statistically speaking, they should have hit something.
In the midst of the chaos, Faraday, recalling Goodnight's hesitation during the last fight, challenges him. He hands Goodnight a gun, urging him to demonstrate his skills.
23 confirmed kills at Antietam. This is one of Connolly's Confederate sharpshooters, dubbed the Angel of Death. Do what he does. He's a legend.
At first, Goodnight refuses, trying to wriggle out of it.
Or is that all you are?
But Faraday keeps pushing until Goodnight finally gives in. When he does, he puts on a stunning display of marksmanship, impressing everyone.
Fancy shooting there.
Well, they call him Goodnight.
Told you.
That evening, the Magnificent Seven gathers at the town's edge to devise a plan. They agree to set as many traps as possible before Bogue arrives. They head to Bogue's mines, taking down all of his men in a swift attack. Turning to the enslaved workers, they offer them a choice: leave and be free, or stay and fight for Rose Creek. After collecting a supply of dynamite, the Seven return to town with some of the workers who choose to fight. Meanwhile, in Sacramento, the sheriff delivers Sam's audacious message to Bogue. It's a direct challenge to Bogue's bravery.
And that I'd be a coward.
Bogue, unfazed, asks if Sam has named his price, remarking that every man has his price. The sheriff shakes his head.
Not this man.
Enraged, Bogue kills the sheriff on the spot and orders his men to assemble an army for war. The next morning, Emma practices her shooting when Faraday approaches, eager to show off his skills. To his surprise, Emma is already a crack shot. She asks him why he decided to join this fight. He dodges the question, responding with a rhetorical remark instead of a straight answer.
I needed my horse back, and this was the price. 6 pounds of pressure, that's all that's required to kill a man. And they say the nightmares never go away.
Those nightmares, they keep you up often, Mr. Faraday?
As anticipation for Bogue's attack grows, the 7 survey the town's landscape, finalizing their strategy. Their plan is simple: lure Bogue's men inside the town, where the villagers can take them out at close range. They decide to dig trenches and set traps along the way to weaken Bogue's forces before the real fight begins. Sam orders Goodnight to find high ground with a clear line of sight and to keep Bogue in his crosshairs once the chaos starts. And honestly, why not just take the shot and end the war immediately? The team immediately throws themselves into intense preparations. Emma is eager to fight, but Sam dismisses her.
You keep the women and children safe and out of harm.
I aim to fight.
Well, if it comes to that, then we're all dead, ain't we?
Which makes no sense, considering she's the best shooter among all the townspeople. But never mind. They also restore the burnt church, recognizing it as the best vantage point for shooting. And for whatever reason, they waste valuable time setting up the bell. That night, instead of using every second to prepare, they waste even more time drinking and having fun. During the revelry, Goodnight confesses to Billy that he has triggered his curse.
Owl followed me here.
Nothing's following you.
I heard the voice.
Goody.
I heard the voice.
Goody.
Billy, I pulled that trigger on violence again. I'm gonna die a ghastly death, Billy. I heard it.
Next morning, Red Harvest embarks on a reconnaissance mission and soon returns with urgent news. Bogue and his men are only a day away. Later that night, Goodnight, consumed by fear, decides to leave town. Sam tries to stop him, but Goodnight breaks down.
I've become everything I despise. I'm a faint-hearted coward.
He apologizes and rides away.
You remember me as I was.
Watching Goodnight leave, Emma steps forward and tells Sam she's ready to take his place. Understanding the weight of the coming battle, Sam turns to his team. He gives them a choice: stay and fight or walk away. To his surprise, Faraday and the rest stand unwavering, determined to defend the people of Rose Creek. At dawn, the alarming clang of the bell shatters the morning silence, signaling the enemy's approach. As the sun rises, the children of Rose Creek are ushered into a basement, while the town's defenders assume their carefully planned positions. On the horizon, Bogue's formidable army stands in a menacing formation, lined up with eerie precision. From the depths of the town, Sam emerges alone, squaring off against the approaching army. McCann, watching from Bogue's side, confirms that Sam is the man who challenged him. Without hesitation, Bogue gives the order to attack. The army charges forward in a unified wave, thundering toward the town, while Bogue stays behind to watch the battle unfold. As the attackers close in, Horne detonates the explosives, sending many of Bogue's men flying off their horses. Seeing this, Bogue starts to lose his confidence. The sudden chaos provides a golden opportunity for the defenders of Rose Creek. They unleash a relentless barrage of gunfire on the disoriented enemy. As the battle rages on, both sides suffer heavy losses, the ground stained with the cost of war. When the attackers break through into the town, Sam, Red Harvest, and Emma step up to fight them off. But even their impressive feats pale in comparison to Billy, who practically dances across the battlefield with his knives, leaving a trail of bodies in his wake. Faraday guns down enemies with a pistol in each hand, while Horne charges forward, dominating the enemy lines with his tomahawks and guns. Not to be outdone, Vasquez and Faraday take center stage, displaying deadly precision with their firearms. The town square becomes a playground for Red Harvest, who rains down arrows with masterful accuracy. Amid the chaos, Faraday ignites a series of explosive charges. With the enemy in disarray, the defenders strategically fall back. Sam, now in a near-berserk state, cuts through Bogue's men like a force of nature. Every movement, a lethal display of precision and power. Meanwhile, Horne makes a run for their cannon, but Billy covers him, epically taking out incoming attackers. Eventually, Horne seizes the perfect moment and fires the cannon, obliterating a large group of attackers. This sends a chill down Bogue's spine. Seeing his forces struggle, he orders his men to bring in the Gatling gun. Suddenly, McCann shoots Faraday, sending him crashing to the ground. In a fit of rage, Vasquez avenges his comrade. Though wounded, Faraday refuses to stay down. He pushes through the pain and keeps fighting. Just as the tide turns, Goodnight returns to the battle. He takes down Bogue's men with precise shots, shouting to Sam that Bogue's got a Gatling gun.
They got the devil's breath! They got a goddamn Gatling gun!
One of Bogue's henchmen hesitates, reminding him that they still have men in the town.
Still have men there, sir.
But Bogue doesn't care. He orders them to open fire anyway. The Gatling gun roars to life, tearing through the town and cutting down both defenders and attackers alike. The defenders scramble for cover, seeking refuge from the relentless barrage. When the Devil's Breath finally runs out of ammunition, they seize the chance to evacuate the children. Meanwhile, Goodnight and Billy ascend the church steeple, preparing for the next wave.
I knew you'd come back.
Oh, you did you? How'd you know that?
You forgot this.
But a new threat emerges. Denali, Bogue's trusted Comanche warrior, fires. Despite Horne's resilience, a series of well-placed arrows finally bring down the legendary fighter. Under the dim glow of the saloon lights, Emma finds herself cornered by Denali. Her gun is empty, but before Denali can strike, Red Harvest makes his entrance. A brutal fight ensues, ending when Red Harvest delivers a lethal blow. Outside, amidst the smoke-filled chaos, Faraday, clutching a bleeding wound, links up with Sam.
You know what? We're even. For the horses, you don't owe me anything.
Well, you owe me
What's that?
cover.
Determined to turn the tide, he mounts a horse with Sam's help and charges toward the Gatling gun. Goodnight and Billy cover him, but the Gatling gun turns its sights on them, cutting them down. Both Goodnight and Billy meet their end. Even as bullets tear through his body, Faraday refuses to stop. He falls from his horse, landing right in front of the Gatling gun's position. With his last ounce of strength, he struggles to his feet, limps toward the enemy, only to be gunned down again. Impressed by his persistence, Bogue's men let him smoke one last cigar. One of them even helps him light it. Faraday plays dead, waiting. And when they let their guard down, he discreetly lights a stick of dynamite.
I always been lucky with one-eyed jacks.
The explosion that follows obliterates the enemy forces around him. When the dust settles, only Bogue and a couple of his henchmen remain. Determined to finish off the last defenders, they enter the town, only for Sam to swiftly take out the two gunmen, leaving him face to face with Bogue near the ruined church. With a shaken voice, Bogue tries to negotiate, desperate to understand what Sam has against him. Sam reminds him, 12 years ago, Bogue hired renegade Greys to pillage and steal land in Kansas. Bogue scoffs at the accusation.
God didn't want them shared. He wouldn't have made them sheep.
Mocks Sam's questions and suddenly goes for his gun, but Sam is faster. A precise shot disarms Bogue, wounding his hand. Sam orders him to pick up the gun, but the coward turns and runs toward the church. Another shot, this time to the leg. Bogue collapses and crawls inside the ruined church, praying frantically, insisting that killing inside a church is a sin. Sam is unmoved. He tells Bogue to pray for his mother, who was assaulted and killed by Bogue's men. Pray for his two sisters, who were murdered by them. Then, Sam pulls down his scarf, revealing the scar on his neck, the mark of a noose from when Bogue's men tried to hang him. Bogue finally remembers.
I remember.
You remember?
Sam tightens his scarf around Bogue's throat, strangling him as the coward desperately claws for air. In a last-ditch effort, Bogue reaches for a hidden gun, only to be shot dead by Emma. With the town in ruins and countless lives lost, the surviving townspeople express their gratitude to Sam, Vasquez, and Red Harvest, hailing them as heroes as they depart. The movie closes with the graves of Faraday, Goodnight, Horne, and Billy. Emma's narration honors the memory of the Magnificent Seven. Okay, hold my beer for a second. I just realized something. Bogue originally promised to return in 3 weeks to collect signed contracts from the townspeople. So instead of just waiting for him to come back, completely unaware and ambushing him, they sent the sheriff to Bogue with a message like, "Come with your entire army, and we'll do our best to kill you," which got a bunch of people killed, put children in danger, and turned the whole town into a war zone. What was the point? Anyway, subscribe to the channel and check out other recaps by clicking these pictures. See ya!